welcome back to my channel. My name is Laura. Today I thought I would show you a manga haul, and this is all sort of taking advantage of a sale that was on Right Stuff a couple of weeks ago. So all of these are going to be Viz titles because the sale was on Viz Media titles. And one of the things that I'm planning on doing with my collection over the year is to deliberately fill in some of the gaps. So either buying things that I thought were essential in my collection that I just don't have because for some reason I've been putting it off, or filling in holes, so either completing a series that's been out of print for a while, or, you know, buying that middle volume that I haven't bought in a, you know, I have the rest, so it's sort of been putting me off of reading a series because I just don't have the whole thing. So yeah, so this year I'm really focusing on buying, you know, the rest of the collection, completing the collection. So onto the manga, yes. So this one is actually not filling in a hole. This is the only thing that I bought that's like technically new to my collection, and I had actually talked about this title in my 2016 Most Anticipated Titles, but it turns out that I was completely delusional about release dates, and I said that Volume 1 was coming out in, like, I can't remember, March or February, but it turns out that it's Volume 4 of the series is coming out this year. So it already is 3 volumes in, and it's like, if this is my most anticipated release, why am I, like, so behind already? So that turns out to be, it's Requiem of the Rose King by Ayakano, Volume 1, Volume 2, and Volume 3. This is the title that is based off of Richard III by Shakespeare, or apparently an early draft of it, and I don't know how closely it relates or how closely it follows the story, but I am planning on reading Richard III before I get into this series, so I probably will actually talk about it at that time. But I don't want to get too far behind in the release before, you know, so then I'm like having to look back and find out of print titles. So I'm just going to collect this until I'm done reading Richard III, and then I'm going to get through these. I'm actually looking forward to it, and I did flip through it a little bit, and it looks promising. A little bit surprised that I was reading dates wrong, like so wrong. I don't know, I must have been like living on no sleep or something. So yeah, so that's in my collection now, and I will be buying that regularly. So on to filling holes. This is Volume 3 of Kingyo Used Books by Seimu Yoshizaki. And I do have 1, 2, and 4 already, so now I have a complete series. And I don't think that I have read any. I might have read the first story or 2 from the first volume when it came out originally, and I don't even remember when that was, a few years ago. I believe it is about a used bookstore, used manga store, and essentially customers come in, they want a book that they're looking for, or a topic, and that comic that they come away with, that manga that they come away with, affects their life in somehow. So they're short stories about the people who are buying manga and how it affects them. So it sounds kind of nice. It you know, flip through it, the art is pretty good, and then really I'm mostly interested in this because it is Viz signature Iki comics. So anything that is sort of in this Iki imprint I trust as being a good comic. I don't necessarily like everything in it, but I do always find that it was a worthwhile read. So that is in my collection now, and I'm looking forward to finally reading that. So the next comic that I have to show you fills in a hole. So I had Volume 1, but I also bought Volume 2 and Volume 3, and so this completes the series of Genkaku Picasso by Usamaru Furuya. This is the same author as, let's see, No Longer Human, which has been, I've seen it on quite a few people's channels on YouTube, so you might have seen that one already. This one is more, is a little bit of a younger story. I believe it is published by Shonen Jump, so, you know, their expectation is that it's a little bit younger. And it does have quite a few touches of that psychological, like, thriller, but mixed with a little bit of horror. There's a little bit of horror in this, and essentially it's about this boy and this girl here, and they were in an accident together. don't remember it very well, but they're in an accident together, and she dies and he doesn't technically die, although he technically is dead and or cursed to die. Essentially, if he wants to keep living, he needs to help the people around him. So this is called Picasso because he has this natural ability to draw, and when he draws things, those things come to life. Now that he's sort of been you know, allowed to, or now that he's sort of survived death or whatever. So those things come to life and they kind of help people. Generally, it looks like it's mostly helping out his classmates, because those are kind of the people that are around him. And I don't know where the story goes. And I think that I stopped buying these comics because I was in the middle of saving for something big, and I had to kind of put away buying certain titles. So I was only picking up like 2 or 3 series that I was following kind of religiously, and then this one got kind of put on the back burner. So I'm looking to finally picking this one up and seeing where it goes and complete. So hooray! And then the last title I'm most kind of pleased to finally finish fills the series, completes the series finally, and that is Volumes 2, Volume 3, Volume 4, and Volume 5 of Video Girl Ai by Masakazu Katsura. And this is an older series. It actually, I think it came out before this in a flipped edition, I think. I can't remember exactly, but I have a funny feeling I remember having to choose between the flipped and the not flipped. Maybe it was this? I feel like it was. And I have read the rest of the series, but I just never was able to complete it. They're just that the places that I went didn't have it, and then, you know, when you go online, you kind of tend to want to buy things that are new. So I always just sort of put this off. Plus, it is a shonen series. It is a shonen romance, and it's the same author as the author of Eyes. So if you've read Eyes, you can kind of get a sense of what the story is like, although this one is slightly less fan servicey and maybe less well rendered than Eyes is. Eyes is not my favorite series, and I have not completed it. I've completed buying it, but I have not completed reading it. I think actually some volumes are still in plastic. Oh, that's a slog to get through. But this one I actually enjoyed reading the story despite the fan service. A lot of panty shots. But this one is about a boy who is sort of called a dateless wonder, just named Dateless, and he rents a videotape, and this girl comes out of the videotape. Her name is Ai. You can see there she is in pink. And she is supposed to help him find love. Of course, you know, Ai means love in Japanese. And something happens. She ends up actually starting to fall in love with him herself. And then the people who created her start coming after them. It's not... I don't remember it being so much the adventure side or like the thriller side. It is actually more about the romance side. So... yeah, this Masakazu Katsura, if you're looking for a romance from the male perspective, I think that he is probably the right person to go to, although, you know, beware of the fan service. And then this series, I believe, follows Ai in the beginning, but then I think at about volume 7 or something, there's a new arc with a new sort of artificial intelligence unit, I believe, who is involved in the radio producing. It's been so long since I've read it. It's probably been about 10 years since I've read it, so, you know, I'm pretty foggy on what this is about. But I do remember I enjoyed the story despite, you know, some of the fan service. And actually the art in it is really quite good. Like, you know, Katsura really understands the human body and knows how to draw it and render it in, yeah, this is actually one that's got really nice art. So that's it for my haul. That was February. I actually do have more titles on the way, and I don't expect to see them until March, so I'm going to include those in my March haul. But one of those titles I have been waiting for since about day one, since like 2003. I have been waiting to own this title. It is on its way. It's going to be glorious. So, thanks for watching. See you next time.